Okay. Through the prayers of Holy Fathers of Jesus Christ, our God of mercy on us and save us. Okay, so I did schedule, a live Q&A, for as we do every Sunday, and it is with Bishop LAZR of Niagara. I think that there have been some issues with the camera, so he's kind of on standby until I can see him. He's like trying to reconfigure the devices. I believe it may be a new camera issue, but in any case, let me just see here. I'm going to include the link. Okay, so let me see if I can. Let me see. Hold on. Vanika, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, perfect. Well, I can hear you even if I can't see you. So I mean, if you want to get started, I'll just ask for a blessing.
Yes, there is a. Yes, may the Lord, through the prayers of our Holy Fathers, our Lord Jesus Christ.
Okay, there's a bit of a delay, and I don't know if. Okay. Whoa, he disappeared on the prayer. Okay. Let's see here. Putting you back in. Okay, we're back. Okay, great. Give me just a moment. And can you hear? Okay. I see you're back now. Amen. Okay, I think I hear you. I definitely hear someone. Okay. Let me see here. All right. As you know, this is a live Q&A show. So if people want to call in, they can. I am putting in the link right now, and I will be putting that in the top section. So let me see here. In any case, I'm glad we were privileged to have Vladika LAZR on today. I'm hoping that we can get through the audio issues. We've had a lot of our listeners have actually asked to have him back because I guess they want to pick your brain and learn some new things. And so I am going to quickly put that there, and I'm going to just update the chat. And so, okay, I can sort of hear something, but that was kind of I don't know, staticky. Could you say something again, Vladika?
Yes, your.
Oh, perfect. I can hear you.
Yes, I hear your voice 3 times.
Okay.
Repeating.
Oh
Okay.
my. Okay. Is it possible that you have the YouTube window open at the same time?
Oh, yes. Okay. How's that?
Well, I can hear you. I'm just wondering if you hear me 3 times, is it possible you have me open on multiple windows?
Yes, I closed those windows.
Okay, good. All right, so there should only be my voice then. If you do get doubles like that, it could be because of a YouTube window playing this video live.
Right.
So if
Okay,
there are any YouTube windows open, you want to just kill off the sound
okay.
on them.
This
So
is
turn
the
the volume
only.
off on other platforms. If you have any other.
Yes, everything is off. This is the only thing that's on right now.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you. And okay, great. Now, from what I can see here, Reader John is saying he can hear both of us, so this is good. And Saba is glad to see Vladika LAZR on again. Absolutely, and hopefully, if anyone has questions or comments for Vladika LAZR, just pass them over to me. If there may be technical issues, but we're going to try to get through them. So it has been it's been I think 2 months now since you were last here with us, Vladika. Maybe 3, but if you want to give us kind of an update of where you are, and also another thing, what you could do if you didn't mention your website. Okay, he vanished. Hopefully he'll be right back. Okay, let's see here. All right, so we're going to try to see if we can get that fixed there. We're just waiting for him to come back now, so hopefully he'll be back soon. Okay, let me see here. So, if you do have any questions for Vladika LAZR and you want to ask them, feel free to put them in the chat or use the call-in function so that you can ask directly. As I said, he's not back yet, so I'm not sure what happened, but we'll find out. Let me see here. Till then, let's see what else we can kind of do. But again, if anyone has any questions, comments, etc., this is, it's our live call-in show. It is, our Sunday show, and so hopefully we'll be glad to answer some questions and get to some stuff. Father Antonio says good evening. Okay. So that's good. Let me see here. We're just waiting on Vladika LAZR. So hopefully he'll be back. Hopefully nothing went wrong with the computer. But so anyway, while we're waiting, this was kind of we kind of had just a general opening for in terms of what we would be talking about. Yesterday we did a oh, hi Father Boniface. So I'm just, I guess, greeting everyone in chat. We kind of had this open in terms of what we were going to be talking. Wait, hold on. Oh, there's Saba. Hold on. Saba, how's it going? CEO of Cloud. Okay. How's it? Hello. How is everything?
Oh, it's going good. It's good to be on here. Hopefully, Vladika LAZR gets back.
That's the goal. I don't know what's going to happen. I assume he will be back because we've actually been working on it for a little bit longer. But I think it may just be like a new equipment issue. So it's kind of like it kind of has its things sometimes with interfacing with a computer, etc. So that sort of thing is to be expected. It's really my fault. Wait, I think he's back. Hold on. Master bless.
May the Lord bless.
Okay. Oh, okay, there he is. Okay, we have Vladika LAZR on. All right, everybody. So, okay, so Vladika, since the last time that we spoke to you a couple of months ago, can you give us a little more background about what's been going on in terms of, what you feel comfortable talking about in terms of, I guess, church life?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, very good. Is it clear?
Yes.
Yes,
very good. So. Very good. All right. So I didn't mention last time that when I lived at...
Nope. Apparently it's not working. He's in a monastery.
So, but as they started to repose, the atmosphere changed, and one really felt that one was living sort of like in old Russia. Of course, everything was Slavonic, everything was Russian, but there was something very otherworldly about it, and that was a real blessing to the old fathers, Father Vladimir in the bookstore, Father Guri, Father Joe, and those who came from the original Vladimirovo in Eastern Slovakia, and of course Archbishop Loris, who tonsured me. So I didn't mention that last time, and I just wanted to emphasize that it was they were the bastion of Orthodoxy. They were the continuation of the Apostolic Church and the Holy Fathers. And unfortunately, that is gone. Oh, Father Joseph is gone now. Speaking of gone.
Okay.
Hello, Saba.
Hello, it's good to hear from you, Vladika.
Yes, likewise. So, oh, there's Father Joseph. So,
Yeah, sorry. I had a technical issue.
anyway, Saba. So for you, Saba, we did go to Jordanville.
Ah,
Yes,
how'd
to the
that go?
bookstore. Hi, Father Boniface. No, he's not there. So we did go to the bookstore.
Yeah, I mean, it's a call in. We have the space if she wants to.
Oh, very good. Okay. So we did go to the bookstore, and of course, Barnabas Benedict, mesmerized by books as he is, was spending a very long time there. And I had butterflies in my stomach because I did not want to run into anybody that remembered me if they recognized me even. And so I was on pins and needles the whole time, and until we got out of there. And so, but it was good. He bought some books, and I just, had a look around. I did recognize some people, and but otherwise, it was, and of course, obviously, very important to venerate the tomb of Saint Philaret.
Oh yes.
So, yeah, and so, and by the way, Saba, I have a question for you. Who is the? Oh, sorry, I need to close this window here. Just a minute, please. So.
No problem.
Okay, it's raining here.
Oh, he meant the real window.
Oh yeah, let's look at the balcony window. So, Sava, who is the Bishop Andrei you were speaking of that was visiting with you at Jordanville?
That's the Archbishop of Roac in America, Archbishop Andrei Malenkov of Pavlovsky of Rockland.
Okay, but there is another. Is it Ambrosi? No. Andronik.
No.
Oh, Vladimir Andronik, yes.
Oh, Andronik, yeah.
Yes, he's in New York. I visited him, but I'm under Archbishop Andrei of Pavlovsky and Rockland. I'm with Roac.
Okay, so is that like the southern USA?
Archbishop Andronik was with Oh no! Well, Sava's from the southern USA, but Bishop Andre actually lives in New Jersey.
Yes.
Okay.
And Bishop Andronik is in upstate New York, and he was part of the Rokor Agafungal Synod. And so there was kind of a rupture in communion between Agafungal and Andronik. It's debatable as to why that was, but yeah. So they're in different synods, but Sava just wanted to visit them both.
Okay, so I was confused. I thought, and forgive my lack of knowledge, I thought Roac and Roca were one and the same thing.
Oh,
No.
yes, everyone thinks that. Like, Roca used to be something used for Rokor back in the day, Russian Orthodox Church Abroad.
Right.
I think Agafangel, he still uses the term Roca for his synod, but Roac, a few people have thought.
I can explain it pretty quickly. Vladika, do you remember when there was a free Russian Orthodox church that Rokor had started, and they had or Bishop Valentin?
Yes, I vaguely remember that.
Yes, and then when Bishop Valentin and his bishops got together and basically formed a separate administration known as the Roac, Bishop Valentin became Metropolitan. He passed on, and now it's Metropolitan Theodore.
Okay. Thank you. I just wanted to. So Sava, when did your Bishop Andrei live at Jordanville? What years was he at Jordanville? Do you know?
He was there in the 1970s.
Way before me. Okay.
Yes, he was there when Archbishop Iverki was still alive.
Okay, that again, way before my time. Okay. So in thinking about it over the past, I don't know, several weeks, I was thinking, are they talking about Bishop Andrei Arastov? But he's in Australia.
No.
Yeah. No. Of course, I knew Father Andrei, or now Vladika Andrei, because he was the icon painter under Father Cyprian, and so he of course did not accept the union, and so he wrote. I forget who he joined initially, but he is now in Australia. So
he was with the RTOC in Australia.
He remember it's a bit confusing. He's technically with Andronik. What happened was he was made a bishop when Bishop Andronik and Bishop Stefan of the Artak basically said, this is silly. We're all true Russian bishops. There's no reason we should be separated. So they made another bishop, and that was Bishop Andrei for Australia. And so that's why, that caused issues for Bishop Andronic. That caused issues for Bishop Stefan, but Bishop Stefan died. He reposed in the Lord for, I think, like 7 or 8 months later.
Okay. And I was always wondering who. I have a great respect for the true Orthodox Serbs, especially the monastery Novi Stjenik and the abbess there, Efrosinia. So, whom I would really like to meet someday. And there is a GOCK priest in upstate New York, actually one of my former students, who is friends with her. And I said, if she ever comes, please let me know, as I do want to meet her. And she has been to Jordanville, and she tries to go to Jordanville every time, obviously, to venerate the tomb of the saint there. But they, were in communion with one of the Russian groups, and then they fell out. And so at one point, and so I don't quite remember. So, okay, anyway, thank you, Saba, for clearing that up. And because in my time there, I don't remember an Andrei that was there. But again, it was way before my time.
You might actually know more about the situation with the Serbian and Orthodox Union, because that's Archbishop Akakie. And yes. I thought they were in communion now with the Rokor of Andronic and of Archbishop Andronic and Andrei Rostov. I think they may be in communion with them. I'm not sure.
No, that's
but in any case,
what's that? What's that, Saba?
The Free Serbian Orthodox Church. Some of the Free Serbs joined Vladika Andronic, because when the Free Serbs went under the GOC, a few of them were under Agafangel, and some of them went and joined Vladika Andronic when he created Rokana.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's quite a lot that's gone on even in the past 5 years. Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, Father Joseph Barnabas asks for prayers, and he is asking for your prayers for our future. And, because we are just a very small mission here, and it's very difficult when we're sort of spinning our wheels, trying our best, and nothing's really happening. Although I was very pleased, extremely pleased, a few days ago when a former co-worker of mine, a young fellow, called, was very nervous, and I said, "What is wrong?" And he finally said, "I want to become an Orthodox Christian." I said, "Well, glory to God, wonderful." And so today was his first divine liturgy here in our oratory or chapel, and so I think he was, quite pleased. And so we're going to try to, nurture him, and perhaps in the spring I will make him a catechumen. So very pleased about that.
Glory to God.
Yes, I think young people, and for his age, he's extremely mature. Well, a history student, and so he speaks the Gaelic and knows the. He was very interested. This is how it started. He was very interested in the pre-schism Irish Orthodox saints. I said there are many of them. And before the Great Schism, and so he was studying and reading about that, and so again, he's come a long way. So I'm very pleased, and that because
it looks like Hill 97 has a question, and he asks, Monsignor LAZR, where is your mission?
It's in the region of Niagara in southern Ontario, Canada, where it snows a lot. Okay. Yeah, we had our first snowstorms.
Okay, very good.
Okay. Yes. So again, Canadian situation is pretty dire. It's extremely secular here. People are not interested really at all. And people see me and they ask, Rabbi, where is your synagogue?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's. I mean, I'm covered in crosses on my forehead, cross on my breast, crosses on my chotki, and they just, yeah, it's kind of sad. So people are so disconnected from. Canada's very secular, and I know people are searching, but again, we're not all that visible, so it's difficult to difficult to evangelize here. So yeah,
to break through it is, and I'd say that this is a common issue with us, throughout the country, if not the world, is that there's an issue of visibility.
Yes.
Not only is that an issue, but there's also, we have to deal with the fact that people actively try to deplatform us, try to remove us from visibility. I'm going to take a couple of comments here. I noticed Hills HLL97 says, yes, Abbas Efrosina is in France at LAZR. She made an appearance on a YouTube video of Coffee with Sister Vasa of Rocourt MP.
Are you certain about that?
Well, I don't know what she said. I didn't watch it.
I can't imagine Abbas Efrosina. So, excuse me?
Oh, go ahead.
I can't imagine Abbas Efrosina wanting to be a guest on that sister's channel.
She barely speaks English, so I'm surprised by that. Because I don't think Vasa speaks any languages besides maybe Russian and English.
Yes, but
it is possible she just didn't know.
Okay, she made an appearance in the YouTube video Coffee with it. But what kind of appearance? I'm wondering. So, like an actual stream or something, or
she appeared on the stream where she talked about the LAZR convent and its history.
Okay, maybe so. All right. Okay. Right. Because Abbas Efrosina is very strict about true orthodoxy, very strict, and so what's that?
No, yes. I said I know.
Oh, yes, and I don't think she would fancy, dealing with an arch ecumenist. So,
and that's unfortunately, that one of the big problems is that Sister Vasa, being the arch ecumenist that she is, presents as a humble nun. People can get fooled, and that's I haven't seen the video. I don't know.
Okay.
Again, I may be disappointed, but I have no idea. I don't want to judge beforehand.
Of course.
Somebody asks, is the Metropoly of North and South American commune with the GOCK? Just out of curiosity, formally, no, we are not.
No.
Greetings to LAZR and Father Joseph from Father Paul Maletta.
Oh, thank you, Father Paul. Nice to hear from you, Father. The Lord bless. Yes.
Okay. And then, somebody says, that's the same in Lower Manhattan, New York City, near our church. Locals think clergy and monks visiting our church are rabbis. That's unfortunately, this has become kind of a problem in the fact that we all, if we consider who controls the movie industry, you're going to associate religiosity and a beard with. But in any case, it's a problem that does occur. I mean, even Vladika John said once, I think that somebody, if I remember correctly, there was an incident on a train, and, I guess the mayor's office called him to make sure he was okay, and, they wanted to talk to the rabbi who was injured. So, I mean, this is unfortunate, but this is it's what we deal with. What we do need to do is, I guess, we need to talk more about how to spread orthodoxy. Yeah, Blind G-Tech says, I must be a bad rabbi. Let me see here. Okay. Greetings and God bless you, Your Eminence and Father Joseph. Sorry for being silent, but I just came back from El Salvador, and it would be great to catch up.
Oh, Joshua, nice to hear from you.
Yes, likewise. We'd be glad to hear from you, Josh. Ask any questions or comments. Ben Chernyavsky asks, why are you not in communion with the GOCK, and would you be able to explain for those who are unfamiliar?
Benjamin, Are you Benjamin Chernyavsky? Congratulations on your marriage. And no, unfortunately, although we are all true Orthodox, there's just a issue of territory, and the GOCK is established where it is. We are established where we are, and it is unfortunate. Now, Metropolitan. Oh my gosh.
Demetrius?
Avlona. I forget.
Oh, Metropolitan Sheridan.
No. The one who Angelos. Okay, Metropolitan Angelos was opening his arms and saying to the GOCK, look, he was extending an invitation saying, look, why can't we all sit down and find out, like, what is the difference, of course, which is very little. And the GOCK was not interested, in some kind of a union or understanding, and that's unfortunately the way it is. I have many friends in the GOCK, and so unfortunately, again, but it's bishops, so because also it's overlapping territories, so that is an issue as well, I think. And anyway, Benjamin, greetings to your father and to your mother, and I hope they are well. And God's blessings for them. So that unfortunately is the answer. And I myself, when I returned to Canada from East Asia, I was, a simple monk. And when I was made a priest in 2016, and even before that, I was contacting local Orthodox people, introducing myself, giving out a card and saying, this is who I am, this is who we are, and in the hopes that if they ever realized that humanism was getting out of hand, they would say, oh, there is another option. There is true Orthodoxy. Of course, none of that really bore fruit, but I felt I had to make my presence known. I mean, not my presence, the presence of our church, make it known that there is an option, because I don't know how much more they will take, with the, at least I know that my hierarchs are not praying with Armenians. My hierarchs are not meeting with Roman Catholic cardinals. My hierarchs are preserving the apostolic faith in its fullness. And we are not afraid to rightly divide the word of truth. This is extremely important in this age of compromise and watering down the faith just to please the ecumenists, just to please the those with the, no, not possible. Not possible. Okay. I don't want to sermonize.
That makes a lot of sense. It is good.
I even went to the Antiochian church, introduced myself to the priest there, and said, this is who I am. And I said, I am Western Rite. He actually is a convert, and he was kind of curious. I said, oh, Western Rite, like like some of our Antiochians. I said, no, the real thing. Anyway, so
you kind of have to clarify.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, no. The authentic Western Rite, not something we made up, and So and after decades and decades of research and combing the text and purifying them of all the inconsistencies and heresies. So yes, but again, they. And actually, in the Antiochian church and the Serbian church, I won't. Of course, I cannot go now as a bishop, but I was going. There were lectures at the Serbian church near here in Hamilton, and I did go. So they call them retreats, but it's just an afternoon, talk. and I did attend. Of course, there was always Vespers after. Of course, I never went to the church. I just stayed in the hall where they had the lectures, and it's where I heard and I met Father Peter Heers, for example, on 2 occasions. So yes,
You met Father Peter Heers
twice. Yes.
Oh, how'd that go?
Cool.
How did that go? I might want to save this for a private conversation. So.
Probably should if it's not good.
Probably, yeah. Maybe that's a good idea. Okay.
Yeah. So, but we can chat about that. And I think he spoke. Of course, he spoke well, but the audience or the members were not at that level. They're simple parishioners with simple questions, and an occasion to meet someone sort of, semi-famous, but otherwise, actually, I think when I met him at the Antiochian church, it was in the rectory, not in the actual temple. It was just in the rectory. And he came right up to me, and we greeted each other, kissed each other's hands, which I didn't expect. And then he, I think someone told him who and what I was. And after that, he was a bit distant. Okay. So,
wow.
Oh yes, he was, I think a little bit afraid, So, and he did say, which I thought was very amusing. He said, "Oh, you belong to the jurisdiction with Father Enoch." And I said, "Yes."
Oh wow! So he knows about.
Yes. He knows. And so he said it not with bitterness, but with, I could tell, a very deep respect, and because you're not going to win with Bishop Enoch. You're not going to win, So if you try to, and so yes, so that was, I found that amusing. That he goes, "Oh, that you're."
Wow.
I said yes, and so because why? No compromise. We're not giving in.
I don't know if my audio is working.
Oh, Vladika, it's interesting you mentioned the thing of compromise, because I'm trying to remember if it was Archbishop Iverki or Father Seraphim of Plantana, and Father Joseph's gone. I think it was one of them. I think it might have been Blessed Seraphim, might have been Blessed Iverki, but they mentioned something about the age of compromise being the age that we're currently in. I know recent elders and saints have spoken of this even.
Yes. Well, it's all around us, swirling around us like a hurricane. People are not seeing it, or they don't want to see it. And for those, again, which is why I sort of introduced myself to the local Orthodox and even the Ukrainian Orthodox here. Of course, unfortunately, that there was only one Orthodox church in my hometown here, but that closed because of lack of parishioners, and it just closed. So they had a final sort of a prayer service. I went. I introduced myself to the clergy, who are not far from here, and I don't think they understood. Again, I was a Hiver monk, I think. I don't think they quite understood who and what I was, and so I'm sorry. Let me back up. Age of compromise. Yes. Well, we all know. I think, surely these famous YouTube priests with all these channels, and some of the content is very good. Surely they know deep down that they're compromised, and they are participating in it. That's the disturbing thing. They are participating in it, and they know it. Don't you think? Yeah.
I think so.
It is. That's the hard part of explaining this, because you would think that this, in many cases, it seems obvious, but at the same time, eventually you have to realize there has to be some level of culpability. There has to be some level of where they say, "Hey, maybe we should really reconsider." And it seems like if that is occurring, none of us know it.
Right.
because they certainly don't seem to imply that. And let me see here. We got a question. Bishop LAZR, do I understand that your mission is Western Rite? That's from David Conley.
Yes, correct. It is Western Rite. We do the Western Rite office. However, I do serve the Eastern liturgy here because I am, well, Carpatho-Russian myself, and so I'm an Eastern European, Canadian-born Eastern European, and so yes, we do have that liturgy. Also, in Canada, we have out west we have many Ukrainians, and so I don't want to. If I visit there someday, which I'm sure I will, I don't want to. We couldn't go anywhere during the pandemic. Of course, so that was out of the question. But I do want to, remember how to do the Eastern liturgy, and I do on occasion the Eastern liturgy of Saint James, or the Jerusalem liturgy, or the Judean liturgy. And I actually do, of course, I do the chanting myself. I do Byzantine and Aramaic chanting for that, which I wrote out in English. And so I don't think many people know, but I am a sort of a liturgist. I was the choir director at Jordanville many years, and so it is a talent that the Lord has blessed me with. And so I do a lot of transcribing and writing out melodies. And ironically enough, I haven't really done much on the Carpatho-Russian side, even though that's what I am. I do, the Glagolithic melodies of the Balkans. I translate those into English and transpose them into English, and the Zumbarak liturgy, which is like a Western Croatian liturgy. And so, it's what occupies a lot of my time. The prayers of our church are so beautiful, Eastern and Western Rite, authentic Western Rite, I should say, or the authentic Western Rite. The prayers are very, so deep and meaningful and full of rich with theology, and this is what we have to preserve. And the watered down Western, honestly, I don't understand what holds people to go to the Catholic Church. What is there? Nothing. Empty.
I feel like the entire Roman Catholic religion at this point is just adherence to the Pope. You could do a puppet show on Sunday and they'd still go.
Oh, you can have a drag queen. I hate to say that. Yeah, you can have a drag queen show and they would love it, And so so the oops, my screen went out. Oh, there we are. Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So I thought something had happened. Yes, it's really astonishing that. But it's actually Barnabas and I were just talking about this recently. That it's like they want to sink with the Titanic. Like they want to go down with it. They don't want to jump on the lifeboats.
And they want people to go with them. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and we are the lifeboats, and we're saying we're here, but it's because slowly, like the evil one, the devil suggests these things, and it's okay, it's okay. Jesus would have liked that, it's okay. So slowly eating away like a river eating away at the bank, slowly eroding away. Their consciences are eroded with the because it's not about keeping the faith, it's not about tradition, it's about pleasing man and blessing sin, and it's all okay, and the recent, don't want to get into this topic again, but I know it was discussed before, the recent Francis's blessing of trans something or other.
Yep.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Just astonishing that people
Father
are not.
Barnabas is joining us.
Oh, great. Hello, Father.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Bless Vladika.
The Lord bless. How are you, Father?
Good.
Very good.
Good.
Very good. Nice. Okay. So, we're just talking about how so-called Western Christians are just choose to be blind.
I wanted to make a comment about compromise. And
Sure.
Not only is it in the church, but I'll give you an example. Let's say with doctors, they
Oh, technical problems again.
Father,
doctors.
yes.
Can you hear me? Okay, doctors do not want to alternative medicine because they're afraid that they will lose their licenses. And I find that in the medical office, I'll bring up certain issues that they don't want to fool with, but they smile and believe me, they smile and they're happy, but they will not broach any subject that could be controversial, or they could lose their license or get criticism or something like that. I think
you're correct. That's a form of compromise.
And so I kind of see where compromise in the religious sphere is an avoidance of suffering potential financial penalties, of losing fellowship and things like that. And people are not willing to take those steps to suffer the loneliness or loss of this or that. And it's costing more, I think, than ever before in these times. And
Which is
so,
yeah, go ahead.
and so I'm just saying it is across the board, not only in just religion, but in the medical sphere and in other spheres too, because these are the broad spectrum times that we're in. But religion is, of course, like you're saying, but I think it's costing people more now, and people don't want to make that dive.
All right. Well, I do see that somebody in the chat, he's made a couple of comments. I guess he's a Roman Catholic, and he had said yesterday's stream was great. That lady is really confusing people. That's a reference to Eugenia Constantinu's book. I think it was her name was. He says, as a Catholic, that stream yesterday vindicates my faith. The Romanides neo-orthos aren't doing much to convince us. They have a castle of sands. Somewhere the trans thing got mentioned, and he said they didn't bless trans unions. And Pope Francis quote. And I invited him on, and he said he might come on. So I'm curious to see how he deals with the question of the reality of what the Pope actually blessed. Josh Lopez says 20% of El Salvador could actually be considered Catholic. I don't know how you people keep doing this anymore. Also, why are you here? Well, we'll have him on. I'd love to hear his arguments. If he's trying to say the Vatican didn't bless that, I've got the document right in front of me in Italian and Portuguese. I can put it right on the screen. I don't have a problem with it. I'm curious as to how he plans to really defend this. The question is literally, can a transsexual be baptized? And the answer, according to them, was yeah. So feel free. I'd love to see what you have to say when you're dealing with the Vatican's office directly.
I try not.
All right, sorry to interrupt.
Vladika, fathers, I do have something that I wanted to bring up. Before I was here on the stream, I was on a phone call. My godson is asking for prayers because it sounds like his wife might have a miscarriage.
What is his name?
Daphnis.
Daphnis? Okay.
That was a priestchism Western saint.
Okay.
And then also in the same phone call, I was like, yeah, I see on NFTU they're going to have this Nigerian bishop on. I was like, what?
What?
I see Niagara.
By the way, Father Joseph, Niagara, not Niagara.
I'm sorry. I will change that. I thought it was like Niagara Falls.
Yeah, Niagara Falls. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
so G-A-R. Okay.
I now feel like a really high level idiot because I've spelled it like that forever. So now
it doesn't rhyme with. It does not rhyme with. It does not rhyme with Viagra. Okay. Okay. Niagara. Yeah. Niagara is an indigenous. Okay. Niagara is a indigenous term, means thundering waters, because named after the Niagara Falls. So
Right.
the early explorers were very shocked by it. So yeah, thundering water. So yes, okay. So yeah, maybe looking very quickly, it could look like Nigeria. I don't know. So.
Well, he said like, "Oh, Niagara, is that like
guess,
in Africa?" And I said, "Like Niagara Falls, Canada."
Yeah. Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
all right. Well, I guess while we're waiting for this enslaved by truth God to be right, he asks the question, can a sinner be baptized? Well, of course a sinner can be baptized. Now, how about an unrepentant sinner?
Okay, who's not a sinner?
We'll wait for his response on that.
Okay.
And let me see here. Josh Lopez says, "No way, I've been saying that wrong my whole life. I refuse to believe." Me too. Me too. I thought it was Niagara all this time. Now I feel like really goofy, but I will fix the spelling by the end of the night. So,
all right. Very good. So Saba, so your godson.
Yes.
We're gonna pray. Okay. Yes. Okay.
Thank you. Also, I'm sitting here with Ezekiel, who's one of my brothers, one of our brothers here at the parish. Yes. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Ezekiel.
hello.
Yes. He was asking what a Carpatho-Russian is. If you could give him a brief explanation of what that is.
Okay, I'll try not to be half an hour on this. Okay. Okay. So the Carpatho-Russian people are like the Basque of the Spain, or they are they have a country, a culture, the foods, songs, but they do not have a country. Okay, Carpatho-Russians were connected to the Kievan Rus, and they were sometimes called Little Russians. They occupy area which is in the Carpathian Mountains, which is a high mountain range that runs all the way from the Tatra Mountains in southern Poland all the way down to, I think, Bulgaria. And so, but the Carpatho-Russians they also were called Rusins, which kind of means like little Russians. Okay, they actually speak a language that is very close to Slavonic, but over the years, of course, there is more depending on who their overlords were, whether it was the Polish or the Hungarians or Ukrainians, or the language was influenced, and of course, in the Slovaks, also the Slovakia. So Carpatho-Russians. So my screen went down. So yes, they are distinct people, indigenous people of the Carpatho-Russians. There are certain tribes and clans among them. For example, you have the high mountain people. The hillbillies are called Hutsuls, okay, and they have again speak a very similar language. So they are again this old Slavic group that because of their isolation, pretty much retained their culture and their language and their customs. So I don't know if that's a good answer. But that's who we are, and so there are some nationalistic movements among them. There's a lot of so in the United States, the Uniate Carpatho-Russians call themselves Ruthenians, so Ruthenian Eastern Catholics. Okay, and so because the Greeks could not say Rus, they said Ruf. So hence the term Ruthenian. However, I think I said this last time that some Carpatho-Russians identify more with Russia, and my family did in particular. So when my uncles went to Eastern Slovakia and they went to our village, they said, "Pa-Ruski ne znaешь, Pa-Ruski," like in other words, like Russian, So they think they are speaking a form of Russian, even though, like Muscovite Russians would probably laugh, saying that's not Russian, And so peasant Russian maybe, but not Russian. So yes, very good people, very kind. And again, because being persecuted for so many centuries, not having your own country, it's it makes you humble. So there is another. Oh, for example, like the Basque of southern Spain, or the Kurds, the Kurdish people do not have their country. They are in Iraq, Iran, and Turkey again, but they have a distinct culture, a language, a flag, foods, ethnicity, but they don't have a country. Okay, so that's who the Carpatho-Russians are. A distinct Slavic group of people that simply do not have a nation.
They're stateless.
Stateless, exactly. Yeah. So.
Okay. Now let me see here. I'm gonna just. Okay. There's a few different comments. I'm gonna try to prioritize these because some of them are higher priority than others in terms of their questions. This one has two people asking. Number 9 says, in Rocor's Western Rite, today was the feast of Christ the King taken from the Roman Catholics. It's the one post-schism feast Rocor's Western Rite uses. Do you have any thoughts about them using this feast? T. Conley says, number 9, I'm curious about that as well. I have a copy of their missal. That feast was invented in 1925.
Yeah, that is not an Orthodox feast at all.
Yeah, I don't even understand how that's a question. Okay. John MC says Carpatho-Russians are the westernmost speakers of Eastern Russian. Rusin is the name from which the word Ruthenian Greek was formed.
Correct.
And I'm not sure what this means. I think it's kind of to finalize the time after Pentecost. It doesn't matter. It's a Roman Catholic usage. There's no reason to use a modern Roman Catholic usage at all.
Well, the Christ the King, you might as well have Corpus Christi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then let's see here. Are not the Ruthenians hardcore Uniates? No, there is an Orthodox presence of the people in the region.
Yes, in fact, when the if I may make a comment, the Carpatho-Russian people suffered greatly. I think you had a live stream that was mentioned a while ago. They suffered greatly with their Polish overlords forcing them to become Orthodox. The Catholics would take their church. And the Orthodox would organize processions. They would come with their Orthodox crosses and banners and reclaim their church. And of course, then the Uniates would show up with the Germans, or the Polish, and say, "No, we're taking it back," or we have machine guns here. So there was a great struggle, and Vladimirovo, which is where the Brotherhood of Jordanville was from, it is a Orthodox village. It's where the Brotherhood of St. Joseph Bachayev came from, and so each village is either Orthodox or Uniate. And my mother's village, for example, fell to Uniatism. They just fell into the Uniate Church, and whereas other villages maintained their Orthodox roots. And so, yes, Carpatho-Russian and Uniate are not one and the same thing.
And so there was another comment on that, right? My parish and mother's ancestors identified with Eastern Russians. It was an archaic conservative dialect with old words no one else used anymore. It is not Ukrainian.
Yes, it is not Ukrainians. Okay. If you say to a Carpatho-Russian or a Rusin, "Oh, you're just really Ukrainians," you will have a problem.
Yeah. And then let me see here. Enslaved by Truth says, why does it matter which date a feast day is established? Because if you're using pre-schism Western Rite, it has to be pre-schism.
Correct.
So that's pretty straightforward. Okay, so I'm gonna step back because I know everyone here has questions and comments for each other and stuff like that, and I'm kind of just gonna facilitate and occasionally pop in. So basically, it sounds to me like there's a lot more to the history of the Carpatho-Russian peoples that people don't really hear about much, because it's like Josh Lopez asked, have most of the Carpatho-Russians fallen to the Union, or are they still mostly Orthodox?
Well, I can answer that. No, unfortunately, most of them have fallen to the Unia. Yeah. So as you may know, I was a uniate priest in Toronto, and it was a Carpatho-Russian parish. And now they didn't call themselves Carpatho-Russians; they called
Right,
themselves
Ruthenian.
they call themselves Slovaks. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, Slovak Eastern Catholics. And so, but again, even the people that I got to know very well, and I said, "What language do you speak?" And they said, "Oh, we speak Greek Catholic."
wow.
And so I said, "What language is that?" Well, it's like Ponashimu, means like our language, Ponashimu. They kept saying Ponashimu, and and I said, "Well, what?" So, does it have a dictionary? Well, no, it doesn't, And so, for example, in the parish of this town that I'm in, which of course closed because the old folks, died off and it just shut down, the Jesuit Roman Catholic priest, who was sort of like what they call bi-ritual, he would do the Eastern liturgy. He would come down, he would give the sermon in Slovak language. They call themselves Slovaks, mind you, the Slovak Greek Orthodox Church of the Holy Ghost, which is what it was called. He gave this sermon in Slovak. They're all looking at each other like, what's he saying? And then he couldn't come one week, and so the Ukrainian Eastern Catholic priest came, gave a sermon. They understood every word.
Wow.
So they're not Slovaks, And when I, was in Toronto and I got to know the folks, very, very nice people, and some of them who still want to stay in touch with me, and and actually said, "Is there any way you'd come back to us?" And I said, "I'm so sorry, not a chance." So no. So I said, "This is our heritage. This is our history. Orthodoxy is our heritage. This is where we came from." But again, they're too brainwashed. Poor people.
Well, can I say something? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Father.
There is a Carpatho-Russian church here in Lakeland, Florida, and the pastor is a Greek Orthodox man, but I attended it for about 3 months. But they are definitely ecumenical, and the who is their patriarch? Isn't that what, or Bishop Gregory? I think is
yeah. You're talking about the American Carpatho-Russian diocese.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't even know who their bishop is now. I remember the last one I remember was Bishop Nicholas Smisko, and then from there it was just basically Greek bishops, from what I remember. Kind of took over.
But I had it was a good learning experience for me. But I read one of their biographies, and I remember the name like Archbishop Orestes.
Okay, Orestes Chernak, yeah.
Now he seemed to me to be pretty conservative. I think he would be rolling over in his grave right now about where they are now. So anyway, but they are definitely ecumenical, and I took them to task because their knowledge of the scriptures was not according to the early fathers, and I did protest that, and I just couldn't. I had talked to. Well, let me put it this way: I would call that bishop, and he'd never return my calls. So I said, "Hey, I've tried a year to get to know y'all, and your leadership's not interested, so I'm going elsewhere." And
because don't forget, when Father Alexis Toth brought all those uniates back to the Orthodox faith, they were already so influenced and so like they have to have pews in their church. Like they think it's an Orthodox thing because they were so ingrained in it for decades. And that's what they think that they have to be like, and so and naturally they're going to be ecumenist because they're under. I think that sometime they were either under or in communion with the the Ecumenical Patriarchate of Constantinople. So yes, they they're very the Carpatho-Russian parish, the Orthodox Carpatho-Russian parish here in Toronto. I don't know who they're under, but they are definitely New Calendar and pews in the church and very uniate sort of in appearance. They may wear some Orthodox looking vestments, but otherwise it's they're they couldn't shed that. So I got in trouble in Toronto when I converted one of the large rooms in the rectory into a small chapel with an iconostas. I got in a huge amount of trouble.
Oh, wow.
And, oh yeah, and the it's kind of a story that circulates. The bishop wondered what I was doing, so he showed up one day, and I said, "Hey, what have you been doing?" I said, "Oh, I just made a little winter chapel because the church is too cold for daily service. I made this chapel." He walked in and he lost his mind when he saw the iconostas, and so because they were so Latinized and forced to give up, Orthodox symbols or anything that reminded them of Orthodoxy. He was, a great Latinizer, and so
Wow.
so anyway, those. Oh yes, and so he. In fact, he told me the most absurd thing once because I was doing the Eastern office, and he said, "You should really be doing the Roman Catholic Breviary," and I said, "Why?" He said, "Because we're under the Pope." That was his answer.
Wow.
So yeah, and so our relationship didn't last long, and after that I was looking around. So
it is kind of ironic though, Vladika, and I always notice things like this because I came from Unionism many years ago.
Right.
Even though I came in as a Latin and I stayed there for a few years, but there is some sort of irony, which I kind of find myself that you were told to do the breviary. But now you're actually doing the traditional Western offices and the Eastern liturgy on Sunday.
Yes. Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. So I do the Psalm liturgy, and so I do the Western liturgy here. But yeah, I do alternate. Yeah. So and the other thing he said again, which is the bishop said, because the people. Again, my head was in Orthodoxy the whole time I was educated in Rome, and I was reading all Orthodox sources, and I was very, I don't know, do any of you understand the word Vostochnik? It means Easternizer. So I was considered an Easternizer or Russophile,
Oh, wow.
I was way too Russian. In fact, when I showed up at one event, I was wearing a simple skufia on my head, and they said, "Why are you dressed like a Russian?" I said, "I'm not dressed like a Russian. This is our tradition," And so the bishop. So I said to my parishioners, "Why don't you fast? Like, why are you not fasting?" "That's because bishop said we are now in new country. It's old country thing. All the fasting. We don't need that here."
Wow.
He actually said that, and he goes, "Yeah." And so I said, "Why do you bring your your Pascha baskets full of your kielbasa, your sausages, your cheese, and your eggs? Why do you bring them for Pascha? Why are they blessed? Because you've not been eating that for 7 weeks, And they said, "Well, yeah, but we did that in the old country, but this is Canada." So at that point, I thought they're too far gone, and I couldn't really, although, and I will end this topic. One more little quick story. So when I built that iconostas in the rectory, I brought some of the old ladies in, and they shrugged their shoulders and said, "Yeah, just like in the old country," and they didn't care, They said, "Oh yes, we had this in the village. In the village, we had these icons everywhere, So yeah, but again, because the bishop was trying to Latinize them, and the irony is that while he was doing that, there was a different movement in the United States, not in Canada, where the Carpatho-Russians or the Ruthenians or the Rusnachki were like reintroducing, like for example, the three-barred cross.
Welcoming in Reader John.
Oh, hello, Reader John. They were reintroducing the three-barred cross. So there's a small there's a small convent in, I think it's Pennsylvania. They're called the bridegroom. The bridegroom convent of the bridegroom, Christ the bridegroom, and so now they are wearing like an Eastern Orthodox nun's habit, like the apostolic with the klobuk on top. And so, and they've got three-barred crosses, and so they are so like reversing the Latinization. You can walk, if you didn't know, you'd walk in and say, you'd have to ask yourself, is this an Orthodox church? Of course, then of course you listen to the litany, and when they're praying for the Pope, then of course or they're using, and even some of the Carpatho-Russians parishes, they're not even doing the filioque anymore.
Oh, wow.
Yes, they are omitting the filioque because, again, they are waking up to the fact that this was never our tradition. But again, they're under the Pope, and so they're going to stay there. So, hello, Reader John.
Yes, Reader John, do you have a question?
Well, I have a prayer request first for you and Vladika.
Okay.
I went to the hospital on Thursday night, Friday morning because I had a fall and ended up fracturing my L1, L2, and L3.
Are you okay?
I'm on a walker now, so life's a little bit
no.
different.
Okay.
But, glory to God for my repentance, I'm sure. So please keep me in your prayers.
Will do.
And
We'll do that. The Lord sends us these trials. It's in his divine wisdom. He sends us these trials, accidents, sicknesses, to tell us something. And so pray, increase your prayer, be mindful of repentance, and this is why these things happen.
Glory to God.
Yes,
what was Lord? Can I ask what was your condition again?
I ended up falling and fracturing. You ever heard of the transverse process part of your vertebrae?
Okay, so you fell. Okay.
Yeah, I fell and then fractured L1, L2, and L3.
Oh wow. Okay. I'm sorry to hear that. I was I'm dealing with different issues myself.
Mm-hmm.
But okay.
Well, it's we'll pray to God for healing and for your salvation, obviously. Hopefully things improve, and God in His wisdom will use this as He sees fit.
Amen.
Amen.
I was going to. I was hoping enslaved by delusion. I mean, enslaved by truth comes up here, but I guess he's not. But
yeah, he said he would, but I guess he wanted to stay in the chat.
There's more time. He might come soon.
But the link's still up there.
I was going to bring up,
there's a lot of discussion in the chat about the Christ the King. Reader John, I think you said it best with Christ the King is not an Orthodox feast, which is what we said 10 minutes before. And so hopefully, if he has something further he wants to point out, he's more than welcome to pop on. We have no problem with that.
That's all right.
Let me see here.
Oh, Vladika.
Yes?
I have a question about Carpatho-Russians.
Yes?
Do they like kvass?
I'm sure they do.
Everybody likes kvass if they know what it is.
Yes.
Well, yes, of course. Actually, there's people here that don't like kvass here in Louisiana.
Oh.
Father Mark doesn't like kvass. He says it's gulag vino.
Oh,
really? They sell it on the streets.
Well, he says, I don't want to try your gulag wine, so now it's gulag vino. So
it's more like gulag piva, but in any case, the point is but it's not even gulag. It's that you can make it in your house. It's I don't understand
the I don't see him in the chat. I don't see him in the chat, but Wozna, Fyodor doesn't like kvass either.
Maybe it's your method. I mean, is it very sweet or is it very bitter?
I can make it either way, and I don't think I think Fyodor just doesn't like it because I make it.
That's possible. Maybe he doesn't know what you put in it.
What do you mean? You put the kvass? What are you asking? What did I put in?
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, like he might be like afraid you're putting like some some side of rat or something or.
Yes, that's kvass.
But yeah, so that's it's proper kvass. I'm sure. I'm confident. But no
idea.
Do
you want to try some of my kvass, Vladika? If I ever come and visit you, should I bring my kvass?
You'll have to bring your own, but good luck crossing the border with it.
I can sneak across the border with that.
What, are they going to eat it? They going to confiscate it and eat it for themselves?
Yeah, not likely. Yes.
Last time I went to Canada, I was in my vehicle, and they asked, "Oh, do you have weapons in the vehicle?" And I was like,
"What?"
And they never checked, and I had all sorts of weapons in there. So I don't trust the Canadian Border Police very much. I just said, "Eh." They're like, "Okay."
Well, it's like TSA in the States,
Yeah. Just tell them it's ginger beer.
Yes, I was when I was in my Jordanville days, I was crossing the border into Montreal. There was something, I think it was around 1988 when they were having the 1000th anniversary of baptism of Carpathian Rus. There was a big concert. I was singing in the choir, and so we all crossed at various times in various individual cars, and they pulled me into the office and they sat me down and they said, "Why are you detaining me?" And they said, "Because you're suspicious." And I said, "Why am I suspicious?" And they said, "It's your last name." I said, "What's wrong with my last name?" "Oh, we are searching for a criminal." I said, "Well, good luck finding a criminal with my surname. There are so very few of us in Canada." So then we're embarrassed, and then they let me go. So I don't know what that was about. So
Wow.
yeah, and so
stories like that, with people trying to cross into Canada, and they like, "Oh, your last name's weird." I've heard a lot of stories like that, actually.
yeah. And of course, I was dressed in the habit. That probably didn't help. So.
It's a technique they use. They want to see how you react to it. They want to read your body language. Because if you have a guilty conscience,
that's true. Sometimes they do that. All right. Somebody, Ethan Wright asks, can you talk more about the Paris school after the calendar change and who came out from it? I do not know much about it. I mean, we've talked about some of that in the past. Basically, the more notable names, of course, like Schmemann, Meyerndorf, Maria of Paris. A lot of these people kind of had very unique mindsets that were kind of foreign to Orthodoxy, even though they were, Russian. They got into certain things, kind of mystical, sometimes Rosicrucian type things. So they had very strange ideas, and unfortunately, those ideas infected St. Vladimir's Seminary and others. So this is, it's problematic. When you add in all the other renovationism that was going around at the time, like Romanitas and Holy Cross, people could come out of those seminaries becoming atheists just because they lost faith. It's pretty tragic. But, I mean, I don't know how much else I can really say about it because, again, the calendar change occurred at the same time, around the same time as the revolution, which is what caused all those immigrants to begin with. I don't know. I wasn't in Paris. I don't know. I do know that Vladika Theodore passed through Paris as well in his life. So not everyone was necessarily bad. I think, Vladimir Losky is often pointed to and Florovsky, but the point is that unfortunately, it gained a reputation.
Oh,
let me see here.
Speaking of calendars,
any other questions?
Yeah, speaking of calendars, yes. What do you think about so there's been news this past week of the ecumenical patriarch saying that resistance is futile with a union with the Catholics, and then within the same breath you have Pope Francis saying, "Hey, we're gonna celebrate Easter together in 2025. Wouldn't it be great if we changed the calendar?"
I think they've been telegraphing stuff like this for years.
Yeah, but
so it's kind of obvious to me.
It's very obvious right now.
Frankly, this is nothing new.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but now one thing to keep in mind is that occasionally they like doing these false starts. And what I mean by that is that they'll give the impression that something's happening, but then won't do anything, just so they can increase the fervor of the ecumenists under their control, and at the same time scare away potential threats. So this is a very common technique of theirs. The very fact that people are terrified of 2025 tells me that little to nothing may happen in 2025.
Well,
so it's
what also is the curveball, though, is they're talking about jointly reopening Nicaea.
And it wouldn't surprise me. There's already they're having conferences on it and stuff like that they're planning. So don't get me surprised. The problem is this: ultimately, Constantinople already commemorates Rome first in the diptychs.
Correct.
So, and that's been going on for decades. And so the whole point is, if they do it openly, the truth is, most people, it's to get more people used to the idea that Roman Catholics and Orthodox are one church. And so ultimately this has been kind of the program now for a few decades. So this is, to me, it's nothing new. The bigger surprise was making the OCU switch to the new calendar. That surprised me. But I don't expect, I think there's going to be more of the same. And the reason for this is because it would be too dangerous for them to do it. If they do something in 2025, it will confirm the worst fears of thousands of people who will immediately leave their churches, so on and so on. They're not doing it. Because if they were, they know the disaster it would cause. Because, you lose the people, you lose funding, you lose money, you lose prestige, you lose your buildings. The point is, we've seen what happened just with the clergy scandal in the Roman Catholic dioceses in America. Imagine that happening on a global scale. This is a lot more hype than people realize, and I think they're going to be surprised.
I hear what you're saying, but I also know men have egos, and the two men involved are getting closer and closer to death's door and want to leave a legacy.
That's true
themselves.
too. Yeah, I didn't know this, but Pope Francis, he's apparently on an intravenous line like most of the day. So that's a little known detail, but it is corroborated. So no, you're right. These people are at death's door. They may do something desperate, but whoever they put in place after them is going to have the exact same program. And so this is something to keep in mind. Like, there's what people are hoping for, and I think this is really what people in the Orthodox ethos camp, etc., are desperately hoping for, is that this is the thing that causes global schism between ecumenists and the non-ecumenists in world Orthodoxy. The reality is, we've watched them leave for years. They've joined our churches over time. I still remember, I think it was either Father Theodore Zizas or one of the other non-commemorators. And in one of his speeches, he was like, okay, when the time comes for schism, the world will know it's going to be big. We're not going to be like the old calendars. This is going to be huge. And where is he now? You get what, that's my point. He's been, kind of reduced to the margins. And that's what happens to everyone who's a non-commemorator, but doesn't ultimately realize that they have to be under true bishops.
Oh, Vladika, fathers, dearest brother John, Ezekiel wants a question, so I'm handing the phone off to him.
Okay.
I just had hopefully this will be a quick question, but I doubt it given its nature. But I was simply curious what drew all of you to Orthodoxy, because whenever I talk to people in the church, they always have like really interesting stories. So if you might indulge me for a second, I was curious.
I'll let Vladika and Father go first.
Sure.
What drew me to Orthodoxy? Well, I grew up in an Eastern European milieu, and so I was exposed to it, even though what drew me to it? Well, I guess, as a young individual attending whatever local Catholic church I could, I was drawn to its authenticity. And then when I did, and of course my mother's Uniate church, I realized that we weren't church goers. We were not, we went to Sunday school, but we never really, took that seriously. So I gradually was an extremely pious child, and so I was always looking for how do I get closer to God. And so it just grew into wanting to be a priest or something, or a monk or something. And so when I realized the shallowness of the Catholic Church, I was, of course, drawn to the Uniate Church. Okay, there's more substance here. Then when I realized what the Uniate Church was, I realized, okay, this historically was an Orthodox church. But again, I grew up with Russian music and balalaikas and that sort of thing. So it was not foreign to me at all. And so it was when of course, I went to Roman Catholic Seminary, and I realized I have no idea what planet this is. And so I, immediately contacted the Uniate bishop, and I became a seminarian. I was educated in Rome, in Italy. And so I lived in the Ukrainian college. And so, but even then I was a troublemaker because I was already not interested. I went to the Rusikum, the Russian church, the Russian Catholic church. And so it was just a very gradual stage for me. gradual elevation for me to, become Orthodox. And of course, when I realized things were not working out in the Catholic Church as a clergyman, I thought, okay, I finally had enough of this charade, and so I just I left. Yeah. So okay, I'll let other people speak.
Okay, let me bring back Father Boniface if I can, and I'll see if Father Boniface, what if you want to answer the question as well.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay,
Yes,
good. Good. I had a glitch, so I had to come back on. So I'm just trying to play around with the. There we go. Well, it's been a long road for me because I was brought up in the Episcopal Church, and then I made a profession of faith at a evangelical boys camp, and then I went to a fundamentalist church, then an evangelical Bible college, then a evangelical seminary, and switched to a Presbyterian seminary, and then. But I would say that probably I was an activist, evangelist, pro-lifer, and I think that a lot of times I just didn't fit into the regular crowd, and I just had a higher level of dedication, and so I had a harder time mixing in with the churches, and then I went through a divorce, and so when the wife manipulated the church, and the church didn't like me because of my persona, they kicked me out. And in the meantime, I went through a trial process with them, with the Presbyterians, and there are all these great legal minds. They love their litigation, and I was much of the same mind. I've always been interested in law. So I realized, I saw the process, and I said, you guys are corrupt. And then I started to see a lot of weaknesses in the difference between what they said and what they did. And I think that's one of the biggest issues is they weren't walking the walk. And so that was a big wake-up call. And so then you get these nudgings and, like I said, the road signs along the way I went into the, so I eventually left the Calvinistic Reformed faith and came back to the Anglican Church. And then I saw that this is just Presbyterianism 201, kind of the same stuff. And through that, I had met an old Catholic bishop, Father Swaden, and I both know him. But so I entered into his version of the old Catholic Church, his version. I'll just be kind of simple right now. I'm not going to get into all the details. And then so I went through the old Catholic Church and saw that there was a lot of, it was a compromise. There were some good parts. There were some bad parts. You have a lot of rainbow stuff in that church. And then so I moved on, and I actually went into Rome and went into the Roman Catholic Church and thought that I'd have an opportunity there, and that fizzled out. But they didn't like my pro-life record. They didn't like my activism. Yeah. And a matter of fact, I was in the Operation Rescues back in the 80s, mid 80s. I was in Operation Rescue. So I went through those court processes, and then and so you have to say that in your application that you've been arrested before. So and so the Catholic Church actually told me that they would not accept me because of my arrest record.
Wow.
Amazing.
I was
surprising.
But and then I said, well, if I can't go in the priesthood, I'll try teaching in the Catholic schools. So the principal said, nope, you have an arrest record. We don't want you. I'm just summarizing, and it was like, okay, so you don't like my evangelism. Oh, and I tried to do evangelism in the Catholic Church, and they didn't like it because I was not ecumenical and I preached again about hell.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then I realized that the Catholic Church was becoming very democratic. The laity was getting a lot of power, and they had a lot of say, and the priests were condescending to them. And I went to their Bible studies, and I'm thinking, these guys are in error and the priest isn't doing anything about it. I had one teacher say, so you really do believe that Jesus is the only way? And I said, yeah. And so he didn't like to hear that.
Wow.
And this guy teaches catechism in the Diocese of Orlando. And it was like, you got to be kidding me. And so I I ended up going through Rome. And I tell you what, I loved my time there. I learned a lot, but then it was time for me to move on, obviously. And so because I'd never been in the sacramental like they are, so I needed that experience. I was a sacristan, I was a cantor, I was a counselor. And so amidst also my evangelism with the St. Paul Street Evangelistic Society, which I so then I went back into the old Catholic Church, and it was through the old Catholic Church that I met a bishop who was telling me that he was highly influenced by Orthodoxy, and so he put some bugs in my ear, and he went into Orthodoxy as this one. Actually, it was more of a ecumenist style group, which is what I was with previously before I came to the Metropolia, and I wasn't their cup of tea, and they weren't mine either. And so, but I was still searching and searching, and so then I found the video sites of Invincible Orthodoxy and the Mad Monarchist, and so I thought this is pretty good stuff. And listening to Seraphin Rose and looking at his teachings, and then seeing getting more information all the time, I'm saying this is the real stuff. And then I found out who that person who was doing those website or those YouTube videos, who he was affiliated with, and that's how I hooked up with Vladika John. And it's funny because Vladika Enoch also went through that same person, which was Raphael, Matthew Raphael.
For the former Father Raphael Johnson, right?
That's right. And so, Vladika Enoch went through him too, and ended up with Vladika John. Same with me. And so, I started talking with Vladika John. So it was about probably a period of a year. And
do you have it on a speaker or something? Because it's starting. I'm hearing echo.
Yeah, I do not believe so.
I think that might be on your end, Saba, because it seems to be coming out of your circle.
Hold on. The volume down.
Yeah.
Turn it down like 2 bars. It should fix.
All right, go. How's it now?
Go on, Father.
Okay, so then I talked with Vladika for about a little short of a year, and then and so he just said that he gave me the invitation, and then when I was able to jump on it, I did, and so there's a lot in between, but basically it was truth and error, the lifestyles, the way people lived, the way they behaved, and I guess accepting my situation and the dedication that I had, and my willingness to, I think, take the dive and come into the true Orthodox movement. And every day I'm happy with coming into Orthodoxy. Whatever I read, I'm always confirmed I made the right decision. And so, that's, I guess, in a nutshell, why I came in, and I absolutely love it, and I'm not going anywhere else. This is it. This is kind of like the end of the road for me. But it's not like there's anywhere else to go. But I'm older, a little bit up there, and I'm glad I found it in time. So,
Amen.
Amen.
Anyway, all right. Enough said.
All right, and Reader John, you want to try to answer the question?
What was the original question?
What made you become Orthodoxy?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I need to give a little context. I came from a Jewish background.
Okay.
So for me, I had to find Christ first.
Ah.
So once I figured out that Christ is and was the Messiah. For me, I was like, okay, so I got all these denominations and churches to choose from. Which one's the one? So at that point in my journey, I was looking for what was right, what was authentic. And I think I went through that proverbial battle of Roman Catholic or Orthodox. And I kept finding inconsistencies within Roman Catholicism. I guess this, unfortunately, I wish I would have known at the time Higher Monk Enoch a little bit more. But I was kind of going through it on my own at that time. And I just, by default, it was Orthodoxy. And it was the only option I had out there was the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese. But in the Lord's mercy, He preserved me. So after being in Orthodoxy for a while, or at least World Orthodoxy, I realized looking for authenticity and being right wasn't the only thing. So for what finally really brought me to Orthodoxy or true Orthodoxy is, I believe the Greeks call it sorrowful joy or joyful sorrow. It's,
Russians do too.
Yeah, it's what's it? Hermapali, I think is the Greek word. That
experiencing joy and sorrow.
Yeah, all at the same time, all wrapped into one. And that's what has kept me in Orthodoxy. Seeking that out, seeking the peace that only the Lord can give you. So
I'm into that. I think I've told my conversion story like 50 times, so I'm going to do the super short version. I was Roman Catholic, became disaffected, decided to become Uniate. I had done a lot of studying on patristics, and God forced me to become Orthodox, and the rest is a long mess that is my life.
Thank you.
I should have said that because
no, actually I didn't. Well, now I have a question for Reader John though. Like, I mean, coming from a Jewish background, how did that affect your family?
Well,
did I just step on a landmine?
Maybe, but the more Orthodox part of the family kind of disowned me. The Reform was kind of like, why did you betray us? I was like, because you're not even Jewish yourself.
Oh wow! So the other ones had a funeral, I guess, or
I mean, I guess I was too well educated in Judaism. I mean, my degree. My bachelor's is in Antiquity, Judaism, and Early Christianity. So, I mean, I guess I knew too much.
Oh wow!
And I was like, "Why do you guys celebrate Hanukkah?" I don't know, just because it's the festival of lights. I was like, "No." Well, do you guys remember this thing called the purification of the temple and the Maccabees? Oh yeah, Judah Maccabee. I was like, yeah, okay, that's as far as we go with that.
I got a question for Reader John. Where did you convert? What state? Where were you living in?
I was in North Carolina.
North Carolina, because I'm from Philadelphia, and I've been to bar mitzvahs, and there's a heavy Jewish population where I was. Overbrook, Ballackinwood. There is a Jewish Reform seminary in, I think it's Overbrook. So, yeah. So, I've had, I've had some experience there.
Yeah, my parents were initially resentful, but they've seen things that I've done for others, charitable works, just kind of doing it, like not thinking about it, and they're like, okay, so you're the real deal. This is actually changing you. I was like, yeah. Like, well, why? Because they were hoping for me to be a nice little boy chick and be a good little rabbi, because I originally wanted to be a rabbi, but I just realized for me, Judaism was a bunch of whitewashed tombs. Everybody went through the rituals, but if you talk to people about what was in their hearts, nobody wanted to look for that purification of heart. They thought they could just do whatever the world let them do. I mean, hey, Judaism brought forth Dr. Ruth. Need I say more?
Fair point. Fair point. Wow. So this was enlightening.
Yes, that's
So-
why I asked it. That question is usually very enlightening.
Yeah. So I hope that helped. I mean, now, are you like looking to become Orthodox? Have you spoken to the? I assume since you're with Saba, you've spoken to Father Mark, or?
Yes. Well, I can tell you my story. I'll try to give you the short version.
Okay.
When I was first started college, I was in a not very good place, and during the summer of my sophomore year, I couldn't find a job. I was in between, college and all that. So I remember one night I had a fight with my stepfather over something very, very stupid, and I walked barefoot from my house to my friend's house on the horrible Louisiana roads. And I stayed with them for a couple of days. And then after that, I went back and I told them, I can't do this anymore. I'm losing my mind. And we had a long talk about like, well, what do you want to do with your life? You know, you're in college, you're doing criminal justice, but you know, you don't seem very happy. So what do you want to do? And I told them, well, I want to fight like professionally. And they said, okay, well, that's weird. But I didn't find anything. Nothing really came of that. A year, maybe two passed, and I had had a job. I was still in school, but I still wasn't doing very well. And when my mom and me were scheduling, we found that there was actually a jiu-jitsu class at school for credits, like I can get college credit for it. So I went there, and the teacher for the class was Father Mark.
Oh, wow.
And I had trained with him for 2 years. I was very, very, very dedicated, maybe a little too dedicated, I'll admit. And then one day it came up that he was a priest. And I looked at him and I told him, I've known you for years now, been training with you like 2 times a week for like 2-3 years. And this is the first time I'm hearing that you're a priest. He's like, yeah. He's just so nonchalant about it. So he invited me to church. I started going. I was raised Protestant, so it was very, very, very different for me. And I wasn't sure why I kept going, but I did. I eventually got catechized, became a catechumen, and was baptized. And, you know, not a while after that, Reader Thaddeus came, and then not too long after him, Saba came, and, you know, now I have to deal with Saba, like, torturing my cat with a laser pointer while we'll have this conversation. But
Okay.
Yes.
Apparently he goes to places unannounced, so be careful.
This is true.
Well, I came announced to your place, Father Joseph.
Yes, you did. He did. He was good with that. He did call in advance because I
know, but it's the gift that keeps on giving.
Well, I don't know if I've told this story, but I remember this is when after we showed up to the Abbey of the Holy Name unannounced, which was my idea. I thought it's a monastery; it's got to be open. And I mean, we tried to call, but we didn't get our call turned back. It's like, well, we're right outside, so we're just going to walk in.
Remember that historic monasteries were not open most of the time.
Yes, I understood that later.
You forgot to
as
mention
you
what
told
you
me,
dressed
Father Joseph. But I'm sitting there, and I remember we're washing our clothes in Vodica's basement, and Fadye is on the phone. Thaddeus, he's on the phone, and I was like, "Who's he on the phone with?" And I asked him, because he was on the phone for like 20 minutes while I'm washing these clothes. Like, who are you on the phone with? He's like, I'm on the phone with Father Joseph Swain. And I was like, I don't believe you. You don't have his phone number. I have his phone number. You don't have his phone number.
Okay.
And he puts me on the phone, and it was you.
Yeah.
You remember the phone call, right? And
Yeah,
I was like, wait, how did you get your phone number? It's like, no, I called you because I called him because I was trying to figure out like what was going on.
Well, yeah, that's it. There were a lot of stories in that one. Now let's see if you make it to Canada to LAZR's place without the Canadian border guards, giving you news stories.
Well, detecting the kvass.
I feel like you're gonna have to make new kvass once you're in Canada. I don't think it's gonna make it past the guards.
Well, again, I told you the story. Just like, oh, do you have any weapons in your car? It's like, and like, okay, and they just let me go by. And I don't even know what I had in my vehicle. Maybe I should say. What was that?
Just tell them it's soda. It's carbonated. Yeah, that's it.
Oh yeah, it does kind of look like soda. Yeah,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I remember when I was with Fadia going back from New York, we had a bunch of kvass that Vladika Andronik gave us, and we were drinking it. And Fadia kept saying, "Don't drink that on the road. It looks like beer." And I said, "No, I'll just explain it's kvass." If the cops pull us over, I'll just explain it's kvass.
Most U.S. cops don't know what kvass is, and they'll be like, "Can I smell your breath?" And if they smell the alcohol, they'll be like, "That's beer."
Yeah. Well, I remember when I got pulled over, I did have the kvass right there, and they could see it, but they didn't ask any questions. So, that was good.
This is not legal advice.
Not legal advice. Yes.
Yeah.
Don't try it.
Don't come to our show for legal advice, especially with Saba.
Well, I was about to tell Reader John that sleeping on the floor helps your back. I don't know if you've tried that, because I can barely walk half the time. But when I sleep on the floor, it gets better.
I got myself an inversion board.
What is an inversion board?
Oh, those would work pretty good, yeah.
Or you
It tilts.
upside down.
Yeah, it tilts you upside down. Yeah. Hey, I worked for the post office for about 20 years, so my back is a mess. I see a chiropractor probably once every other week.
Wow.
I wanted to actually ask you, Reader John, how long have you been a reader?
What is this year?
It's 2023.
10 years. Almost 11.
Oh, wow. Yes,
I was made a reader in Rogue War MP. So.
Oh, okay. So it's like 2013.
Yeah.
I've been a reader now for only like 6 months. I haven't been a reader for very long.
Well, the way you keep going, you're not going to be one much longer.
What does that mean? I'm going to die, or I'm going to get
You're going to get shot at one of these monasteries.
That's why I had a vest on when I went.
You read about monasteries where like either you're a friend or you're an intruder, right?
Yes, I was told I was given the rundown, but I had a vest on when I went to the Abbey of the Holy Name. So.
Okay, well they weren't going to shoot you. I mean, not that. I don't think so. Anyway. No, I know they won't. There have been some serious battles on Mount Athos.
That's what I'm saying. Have you seen?
Good job with that. Those mags are expensive.
They're stainless steel.
Speaking of guns, and this guy brings out a gun. We're already off to a great start tonight.
You were playing with it earlier.
Yes, before the stream.
You better hope you don't get elevated to.
Is this a true Orthodox Ecumenical Council? Well, I think we've already agreed that kvass is good.
I think that was established many centuries before.
Yes.
Okay. So let me see here. Do we have any questions? Looking back. Let's see here. What is the okay? Here's one. Josh Lopez says this question may not be related to the Christ the King conversation, but what is the Orthodox teachings of saying like Christ the King or Cristero Viva Cristo Rey? I mean, we have the Christus Victor chant in the Western Rite, and I don't think any Orthodox would dispute the idea that Christ is King. Of course, that it's tied to the question of Christian nationalism. I'm happily a big fan of that. But let's go around the room because that worked out well last time. So let's I guess start with Vladika LAZR.
What is the Orthodox teaching says? I'm sorry, I do not know.
Okay, that's fair. Go ahead.
So I don't even understand. I don't understand the question. Sorry, what is the?
Well, in other words, but he's referring to the fact that it's very common, especially now in modern online discourse. A lot of people are referring to Christian nationalism. They refer to Christ as King, kind of seeing him over the current crop of secular leadership, which I think is something that's natural to Christians to begin with, but it's something that has been downplayed in the discourse of the past few years, where people are hiding their religion, etc. This is kind of like a counter to that. So I guess he was wondering if there's like an Orthodox concept of Christ being king or of Orthodox nationalism in general. But I think that our entire history, to some degree.
Yeah, well, of course, Christ is king, but I would say the king of all, which is in the prayers, or the king of all. But it's not it's sort of in the whole package of orthodoxy. It's not like a separate thing. So, which I think was the original question: is it a separate feast? Well, no, it isn't.
Yeah, we're not talking about the Christ the King feast. So I'm thinking. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the Viva Cristo Rey is what the battle cry of the Cristeros.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so they fought. Of course, what Mexico has in their constitution that they do not approve of the Catholic Church. That's in their own constitution.
Yeah.
So when they were slaughtering the Cristeros, of course, they rose up to defend themselves. But I think they managed to get a certain amount of pushback, but I think still they were pretty much squashed, weren't they?
Well, I mean, clergy were massacred and stuff like that. It was really awful. Of course, whenever something like that is violently reacted to, in that case, it produces its own backlash. So that's, I mean, we've seen that play out in history many times, and I guess to some degree we're seeing it play out now. It's given that, when we look at the sacralization of our culture, when we look at mass unchecked Muslim immigration to the Western countries, it's completely natural for Christians to almost feel like aliens within their own countries. So it does not surprise me that you're seeing chants of people in Spain saying Spain is Christian, not Muslim. What were they possibly expecting? That's my take.
Look at what just happened in Ireland.
Yep, exactly.
And the leadership in Ireland is criticizing the conservative public. So you can see that their leadership is totally New World Order style, and with no interest in the welfare of their own people. Yeah,
when it becomes, I think it was best said by somebody on Twitter who pointed out, when saying protect Ireland in Ireland is considered racist, then you're a conquered people, because ultimately, if you can't defend your own country in your speech, and that's considered a hate crime, then at that point you really have to wonder whether your leadership is out for your best interest or not. Not even wonder, know that they're not out for your best interest.
Well, look at what the Roman Catholic Church has done to Ireland. They've totally betrayed it.
Mm-hmm.
The Catholic Church has betrayed their own faith, has betrayed the people of Ireland, and so now the snakes have returned to Ireland when they they passed the abortion bill and everything else now. So Ireland has fallen, and the priests aren't doing one thing to uphold anything. So I guess this is just another consequence of the religious downfall of Ireland.
Might be an opportunity.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It would be.
I think of Christ as the King of all. I think of the discourse between Christ himself and Pontius Pilate,
Mhm.
where he's talking about Pontius Pilate's talking about, well, I have authority over you, and Christ is like, you would not have that authority unless it was given to you from above. So, I
Indeed.
mean, Christ is the King of all. And then my other thought is also, remember Constantine saw a sign in the heavens, didn't he? What did it say?
In this
Yeah,
sign conquer, yeah.
In this sign conquer, yeah. Nika. And we see Nika everywhere, especially in Greek church.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that brings to mind one issue is that in America, we have such a move among Protestant churches for a legal reform as practically a form of revival. You know, spend all your energies trying to change the laws, spend all your energies, quote, voting, spend your energies in the legislature and stuff like that.
Well, you know
And
why that is, Father Boniface, right? Because their mindset is to create an earthly kingdom, not a heaven. Not
that's right. That's right. The utopianism, yeah. The millennialism of the Protestant church, yeah.
It's like I have in-laws that I would characterize them as Christian Zionists, and their whole worldview depends on what happens in the politics of Israel and our country and all that stuff, and it's all intermingled. I'm just like, ugh.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That was a great question, Josh, and let me see if I can find some more. What do we got here? Yeah, this was a question from Andrew Kimmis. I reached out to St. Herman of Alaska Monastery to ask permission to print the 1979 edition of Orthodoxy and the Religion of the Future, and they said no. Are there any hard copies still around? Well, if you're, if you've been following the show and our Discord over the past month, is the question about revision of a lot of Father Seraphim's works that have occurred. People are trying to get access to the originals. Unfortunately, your best bet is PDF. You could probably print out a samizdat copy for yourself using something like Lulu, but the second you publicly announce that or say you try to spread it publicly, they'll find out and they'll close it down on copyright breaches. They do not want these editions that mention the true Orthodox to come out. They don't want these things to be heard because, we're in a unique stage where we can spread information. And the whole point is they want to make sure to keep that door closed. So we're kicking Pandora's box open from the inside if we have to. But the best thing I can suggest is getting an online copy and printing it.
And PDFs are cheaper if it does show up somewhere like Amazon. It's exorbitant.
Yeah, you want to. I recommend Abe Books. Sometimes you can find cheaper things, but in some cases, like yesterday, there was a Father Seraphim book. I even checked Abe Books; it was $200 minimum. Yeah. And so let me see here. What we have any other questions? Yeah, I will say, well, this is a nice thought. We need another St. Patrick. Very true. In that case, let me see here. So we're just about approaching the 2-hour mark. So as I mentioned, first off, Vladika, thank you for taking the time out. You've got a busy schedule. All the bishops do.
Yes.
And so we really appreciate it. God willing, we can, if you are interested, we can have you on again. But is there any way you could give us a little more info, especially for people in Canada, on how to contact you?
Yes, of course. I have a website, and it is www.triumphantcrossmonastery.ca. So Triumphant Cross Monastery, all one word, .ca. It's a website, or you could just Google it. I finally did have success with getting Google Maps to cooperate with me and put a little pin on where I am. So, but you'd have to search for it. So that is the way. And I do not have a phone number on there because I get so many spam calls. So So there's of course a email address there. So that's one of the ways to get in touch with me and or us here. So yeah.
How
Okay.
close? How close are
Okay.
you to the Niagara Falls area?
Yes,
Like,
Niagara Falls.
Yeah, but I mean, what neighborhood? Well, I forgot how they break it up. I mean, I know there's Niagara Falls proper, but then there's the surrounding.
So this whole entire area is called Niagara Peninsula because
Okay.
it's in between three bodies of water, the Niagara River being on the east. So I am in the little town in the actual very center of Niagara Peninsula called Welland.
Okay, all right.
So I'm in the town of Welland, and but I say Niagara because no one's ever heard of Welland, of course.
Yeah.
So, but
I've been up in that area, but I don't think you were up there yet.
oh, perhaps not. Perhaps not. Okay. Okay.
So
yeah.
Oh, I've
and
also put the link in the chat. So if you want to take a look at
Jonathan Cross Monastery. Yes, that's the one. Yes. Okay.
All right. Wonderful. Let me see here. I have no idea. Something about a ban on Father Peter here's stream in the chat. I have no idea what that's about. And let me see here. I'm adding Father Boniface. He's back. He kind of dropped in and out. So definitely do check out Vladika LAZR's website, especially if you are local to the area. Let me see here. So once again, I really want to thank everyone for being on. And let me see here. Father Boniface, I know that you're kind of working on a website, but I don't know if is it ready? Would you consider it ready? Not yet.
It doesn't have a whole lot of information on it, but it's certainly, you can certainly share it and people will see it. Maybe I'm going to be, we're adding stuff maybe as much as possible right now.
Yeah, sure. And let me put that up. That is St. Paul Hermitage, correct?
Correct.
Okay, one moment. So I'm going to put that one in the chat so people can, if they want to visit Father Boniface's website there, they can do that. And so that is in the chat just so people have it. And so that's good. And I know it's a new website and you're still putting stuff on it. So we're looking forward to seeing, more about it. And,
right.
Okay. Now, Reader John and Saba, I don't know if you guys have websites.
I don't need one.
Yeah.
Probably a bad idea.
Yeah, that's probably true. Now that I think about it. And again, I'd like to thank everyone for being here. As always, I will say, like I always do, I am going to pre-record this. I will, so I don't have to say it. But since 2004, NFTU has been reporting on events related to true orthodoxy as well as underreported events relating to the greatest heresy of our age, ecumenism, a global web of interreligious syncretism in which the hierarchy of world orthodoxy is now inextricably enmeshed. When we began this page, we never thought we'd be in the middle of a global war for the salvation of souls. But things never work out the way that we plan, and now I'm going full time to expose ecumenical heresy where it can be found, help Orthodox Christians find their way home, and do my part to stop the globalists from fulfilling their plans of one world religion, the religion of Antichrist. But today we do need your help. Subscribe and support us at nftu.net. On our Subscribe Star, well, I got to take that. We don't use the Subscribe Star, or on Odyssey. Keep watching. We're just getting started. Again, everybody, thank you for being here, especially Vladika LAZR. Thank you so much. We hope to have you back on soon, and that would be great because I'm sure people have more and more questions every time we do have fun.
Okay, we'll try to figure it out. I'll try to be a little more adept to the technology. And as you, I'm sure all you good Orthodox Christians know, tomorrow, beginning this evening, is the solemnity or the feast of the entry of the Theotokos into the temple.
Mm-hmm.
Also the presentation of the temple. I'd like to give you a blessing. I'd like to give you a blessing from the Glagolithic liturgy, and I will sign out, okay?
Okay.
May God the Father bless and preserve you, Christ the Son, shine his gracious countenance upon you, and may the Holy Paraclete lift up virtue towards you and grant you peace.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Good night, everyone.
Amen.
Good night.
Have
Thank
a
you,
good night.
Vladika.
Thank you.
May,
everyone-
if you don't mind, Vladika, may I and Ezekiel be remembered in your prayers?
Yes, absolutely. Saba and Ezekiel. Okay, and Reader John
Yeah.
and Father Boniface and
Thank you.
Father Joseph.
Thank
Okay,
you.
you're
You
welcome.
too.
Okay. Good night.
Good
Good night.
Okay, and with that, everyone have a great night. May God bless and protect, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you
Good
for
night.
having
Great.
us on.